Everyone, and welcome to heART Talk. I wanted to first of all just say a huge thank you for your support in the Drawing Exchange Youth Auction. One of our goals was getting bids for all the kids involved, and we have been able to do that. So just so much appreciate you supporting young minds and young art. The kids were not believing me. They were a little in disbelief when I told them that our goal was to sell their art. They're like, what? People buy art? And so we have bids as far as the UK, we have bids from people who know the kids, who don't know the kids, and so it's just really encouraging to see that even in a year when things have been so tense and a week when the moon is so full, that folks are still coming out to support our kids and support our young minds. So with that, I'm really excited for today's conversations. The first one is with Kimberly Galaxxxy Tate, whom is so multifaceted. I met her on the same day. We were on a panel together and I got to meet her little one at the same time and hold him the entire time of our conversation. And it really is just been a highlight of my entire year. Hey guys, thank you for popping in. So Kimberly is a architect, a teacher, a dancer, a visual artist, and someone who thinks very deeply about materials and how they fit into space and time, and also how to use those things in terms of thinking about our ancestral healing and ancestral trauma. And then our second conversation will be with Haile Supreme, whom has been leading drum circles this year and is someone who also is working in the healing arts. And so I'm really looking forward to today's conversations. I appreciate you guys coming in, and I'm going to go ahead and bring in Kimberly so we can get started. My sister's on tech support in the back trying to get this light on. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. It's clear and you sound good.
Great.
Yeah, it's been such a while since we spoke.
Yeah, a few breaths.
Few long hours, yeah. So I did a brief introduction, but maybe you could just introduce yourself and the space that you're sitting in to the folks watching.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Kimberly Galaxxxy Tate. I'm the daughter of Glenda Strana Tate and Dennis Pacho Tate. I was born in Eastern Visayan Islands in the Philippines, and a Filipinx artist, embodied truth seeker, future ancestor. There's some of my work behind me. I do installation work that are labyrinths or movement experiments that I also guide. Yeah, this project is called DANCITECTURE, and during the pandemic, I had some time to be with the wall for some extended period of time, but typically they're temporary installations. Context for an event, a day, and then I take them down. But yeah, I'm so happy to be in conversation with you, Sada.
Yeah, me too. And we'll definitely get to dive more into the DANCITECTUREs because I had the pleasure of seeing a glimpse of that at our stoop sale the other week where you came and we got to reunite. So I thought we would just take it back to the start. My guess is you come from a family that has a history of arts, but what are some of your earliest memories of visual and musical art?
Well, actually my family wouldn't call themselves artists. I grew up drawing. That was like my favorite thing to do. Of all of my toys, just like the collection of random pens and a stack of scrap paper was like the best thing to keep me company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I started dancing when I was 3. My grand aunt paid for dance lessons for me, and yeah, it was a playful place to be and express myself. But my dad, my dad is like a very project oriented person around the house. He basically rebuilt the house. He always had things that he was adding or changing or upgrading into the house. And I guess there some of my creativity, well, certainly parts of my creativity come from him. We grew up like singing formal artists in my family. Most people are like doctors or nurses.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I like to ask that question because I grew up in a conservative culture where we were actually like not allowed to listen to music, not allowed to dance. You know, those things were just not a part of our home, and so I like to hear just how it existed in other people's upbringings, whether it was something that they directly were interacting with or just was in their surroundings. Um, so you go by Kimberly Galaxxxy Tate, and I would love to hear how you came and you arrived to that name.
Well, Galaxy, let's say, is a gift that I was given by my beloved. Um, a word or name as an evocation for the my artistry to step up into. Um, I mean, kind of like a mask that we might use in performance that supports an expression to come through. Or like sometimes when I go karaoke, I take another stage name, and it's like a portal that helps me access myself
Mm.
in that way. And also, this name acknowledges my plurality in all the different like realms of mediums that I use. Yeah, and I would say it's still a name that I'm trying on and growing into. So I'm like in a place of wait and see to understand further how it will define me.
Mhm. Much like a galaxy, we're always learning how much we don't know about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, you described yourself as a muse, and I definitely have seen examples of how you fulfill that. But I was like so delighted when I started to explore your work a bit more and saw some of the architecture and installation work you've done. Um, so would you share just a little history on your relationship with architecture and design, and then we'll dive into that a little bit.
Sure. So well, I've always been multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary, and and art seemed like a rich place um, explore like the kind of exploration that I needed. Like I've always been a bit averse to vocational training, so when I went to school, like I tried on as a good Filipina daughter. I was pre-med. I was, like did all those things, but the painting, the drawing classes, these are places where I felt like I needed to be to learn more about myself before I was ready to like dedicate myself to anything
Mm.
uh, out, like have a job. And so I finished like so I studied art and then took some time off after undergrad and then in that in between space of trying to like still feel myself outside of institutions. Still felt like it was necessary to like focus the work more and, you know, help me get a job somehow. So architecture is great. Yeah. So even though I'm like an architect, but not an architect. I feel like I'm a better artist because I have that training. And then similarly, I'm a better designer because I'm an artist. So they're related. So architecture is a place where, again, my multiplicity can come in because there's so many ways to look at architecture, and our built environment is really an embodiment of dominant structures. And on one of my travels, I was reminded of that. And I was like, you know, maybe this is a place for me to offer my services to the world in a concrete way.
One thing I appreciate about your practice is that it seems like you spend just as much time thinking about structures as you do the absence of structure and what that does to our consciousness. And that's part of what we'll explore with DANCITECTURE. But before we do that, in my explorations of your work, and I know I've only just seen a glimpse, there was one structure that you helped create at Burning Man, and it was the bamboo tea house. And so I'm just going to display a picture real quick. Those of you watching can just, again, what I'm showing here is just a glimpse of Kimberly's work. It is widely varied and very robust. She has been creating for years and years. And so this is just a tidbit, but you had shared a quote that someone said that they had been, this is at Burning Man, that they were walking across the playa and wishing for an oasis like this. And then they came upon this tea house. And so in thinking about the structures you create, whether that's through dance, how do you build that? And think, when you're thinking about providing a healing space, ancestral healing, how does the existence of a structure fit into that? Is that a clear question?
Well, I know a way in.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You know, I think structures can be beneficial in creating space, like holding space for us, creating protection, boundaries, and you know, I mean, like, there's a tension within me personally, also because my work is so varied, and I feel very connected when I can practice to my intuition. Like, I'm a quadruple Pisces, like, so characteristically Pisces are like flowy people. And I like that. I like to flow, but I also need support to flow, like flow in alignment with my truth and flow safely. And so that's part of my nature, is like me needing structure to also experience myself. And as an architect, as a teacher, as an artist, or is like as a socially engaged person who likes to hold space, it's kind of part of that. It's about holding space for us to connect with ourselves. And yeah, I think a lot can happen when, like, in a you know, connect with our presence, and I mean, just that can be enough. Just can be enough without an agenda.
This is where I find myself thinking about, ancient memory for the first time, how sound fits into that, how movement fits into that, the sound of a drum reminding us of a heartbeat, reminding us of, you know, the first memories of humankind. We have a comment here from Tana, and I'm not surprised. She says, I think I saw you create a dance floor structure at Super Cheap a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You probably did. Tana's connected. Yeah, this is what I mean, Tana. You're always with us in spirit. I had a lot of her artwork displayed at our stoop sale the other week.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Now you work with, I want to talk about materials. You work with a variety of materials, and I've seen examples of that. Can you just like briefly list the materials that come to mind, and then materials that you've been drawn to as of late?
All right, so I've worked with paper, cardboard, wood, plastic cups, plastic, like kind plastic bottles, textiles. I mean, I've built a house, everything from like building a house to like
Giving vibes for the Wi-Fi. Everyone give vibes for the Wi-Fi. Maybe this is a good time for me to get some water. Maybe it's my connection. Is it my connection? If you are, oh no, it's not. But that's all right. It gets connected back in. Here's an example of a collage she made. She does work with a lot of recyclable materials, and that also exists alongside with the exploration of how does space and structure and art invigorate and trigger our memories. So this is a collage made from flyers during a trip in Japan, tourism flyers. And I'll also just give you a little glimpses of her DANCITECTURE work. DANCITECTURE being public visual art installations and movement workshops that kind of deconstruct space to question consciousness through movement. So these installations are created, and then people are then invited to move along the lines, and the movement becomes to flow, and inviting people to move within the space how they feel pulled. So here's a few images of her in DANCITECTUREs. I believe she's had about 15 iterations of DANCITECTURE, and that work continues. You definitely did see this at Super Cheap. If you were at the stoop sale the other week, you also saw her creating there. Here is Kimberly and her partner, whom is a core part of this project as well, and is also a phenomenal creative of his own merit. And then here is a picture of other individuals interacting with the DANCITECTURE. I believe that this might have been the one on the High Line. And so it's just a glimpse of the kind of work Kimberly does. That's okay. That's happened to me too. And I have plenty of footage ready to go. Here's Kim interacting with the DANCITECTURE structure she made. So that same one that you see here is pictured here. And so you can see individuals interacting with it, and then also the way that people are watching, and the questions that might evoke. So I'm gonna bring it back. Oh, Kim will be back shortly. Hi, Matt. Here we go. And let's bring back in Kimberly Galaxxxy.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi. Yo, that's happened to me too. And I was like, bring my phone and keeping it by a window. Yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
Well, good thing it was your phone and not mine, because then we would lose the interview. It's just you too hot. You too hot. You got too much to share. All right. So we were talking about materials and what material. So, and I gave, I just was showing some examples of your collage work and then some of the dance pictures you've done. You'll see here, like there's tape, but you've also used fabric and, other sorts of materials. But what materials do you find yourself thinking about or drawn to lately? And we've talked about this, but you can share with the folks.
Yeah, well, so my family, we live in a small apartment in Brooklyn. It's a very delicate ecosystem, and because we just had a baby, there's like a lot of stuff in here. Both of us are creatives also. So like it's not just furniture and like living stuff, it's also like materials to make.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I mean, also the pandemic just reinforced this need to be in, like, just to like see what's around you and to be in relationship with your immediate environment. I mean, it kind of is forcing us to be more aware of what's going on. Am I still connected?
Yes, yeah, you're here. You're here.
Okay.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you want to finish your thought?
Yeah, I wanted to say that the materials I'm drawn to are the things I'm living with right now. So a lot of it's like textile and paper and scraps of things. I don't feel like going out to buy anything right now. I need to use up what I have.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When you are moving in your pieces, so particularly with DANCITECTURE, one thing I have noticed with the works you've been sharing with me over the last few weeks is kind of the recurring shapes that I see. And I've been also then looking at like the shapes of your body and the lines you make with your dancing. So I wanted to just hear like kind of what are the recurring shapes that you find yourself returning to, and how is that linked to healing or memory, perhaps?
Mm-hmm. Well, lately I have been doing these like symmetrical shapes, esque, connecting to like cardinal directions. It's connected to my contemplative practice or practices where I'm reflecting on location, land, also positionality. There's different like systems within spiritual practices, land-based, earth-based spiritual practices, and Buddhist practices that have this like these directions, and also the like geometric organization is like it's a way it kind of is self-perpetuating. Like I set up this grid, and then it keeps calling me in to be in relationship with it. So it's a tool to deepen contemplation, deepen practice. Yeah, it's like a portal.
A portal. Yeah. I mean, if we bring this back up, would you say this fits with that structure, the cardinal and the in and out?
Yeah. For sure. It's like I set up just like the basic grid and these outlines, and then and start to like fill it in with these geometries.
Yeah. And we have a comment here from Demetrius, who was at the stoop sale, and he says, I love her use of ephemera as well as her ability to visualize the transient tension within motion. Yeah, Demetrius, I mean, I might need to hire you to start write some artist statements for us. Well said. I want to, let's move a bit into DANCITECTURE. So this is a project you started a few years ago. You've done many iterations, but one thing I really admire is how you've altered what it looks like based on, I don't know, whatever the needs are of the community. So how has the DANCITECTURE evolved over time? How has it changed?
I hope my phone, I just saw it's getting hot, so hopefully it's connected. It
Blow on the
let's say,
phone.
oh, that's a good idea. Project, yeah, it's a living project. So like I started as a seed. Started. I have to acknowledge that my beloved was a key catalyst in preparing the ground for this work.
And here's the picture of you.
Yeah, he saw my drawings, and he was like, "Oh, I could see people dancing on these drawings."
Wow.
Yeah, so it was nice to have a companion to explore this with.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have a companion to keep exploring this with.
Mm-hmm.
So it started by that. It's from there. I came in with some tape for a performance art event, and just like in the interstitial spaces, started drawing these lines in the space, like in between performers, and then offering these little folded pieces of paper with like explorations on it, like asking people to move along the line and count your breaths, or move along the line and count the number of atmospheres you experience. So it was asking people to explore the space in a different way, and they wouldn't consider otherwise. It's a to break from our like pedestrian patterns, and get to know ourselves in a different way, and get to know the space that we're in a different way. And then from that, continuing to develop every time I do it, I learn more about the project.
Right.
So embodied movement practice, or like a contemplative practice, like even though it's very like gregarious visually, even though it's very like visually expressive, the visuals are just an entry point. The installation is not the point. Really. The experience is the point. Yeah, so it's about this like relationship between the outer space and the inner space.
It's a portal.
Yeah, another portal.
Yeah. How do you find people reacting, like, especially when you've done these in public spaces and people are walking by, like in the back, there's these spectators. How do you find people react to watching this in progress?
This project, we danced and then it ended by inviting people in. I think the reactions that we received, of course, like not everybody's going to share their feedback, but what we received is, let's say that it seemed like people were touched by it. I think also the lines invite spectators or audience members to watch in a different way, like moving along the journey of that line with the dancer. Watching their choices, watching how they're relating to the installation. So So yeah, I think it opportunities are watching.
Yeah, I mean, I love to watch movement and dance. I always wonder, like, if I got into dance classes as a kid, maybe I'd be a dancer now. But we'll see. Um, maybe contemplate.
I trust you are. I trust you are.
There's
So
times in my life where I felt like I have, and there's other times when I feel my body sort of clam up, and that's kind of leads me to these few questions is, as someone who is less practiced in mindfulness and movement myself, what advice would you give to someone who is starting to explore space somatics? What advice would you give, and are there certain movements that you would encouraging to start with?
coming from a contemplative way, I would say first just remember that you have a body.
Mm.
I think we can get so caught up in our minds, also so many institutions and structures that we live in prioritize like your neck up, and how we know ourselves. There's all of this other territory that's down below. And if we can just remember that, like that's the first thing.
Yeah.
And also the body is constantly in motion. Like heartbeat, your breath, those are wonderful places to start. Just feeling what the like movements are happening in the body without you needing to control it, without you needing to I don't know, project into it or act on it. Like it's already doing these things. So first I would say is just like listening, and then forming a relationship to those rhythms that are already there. Those rhythms in relationship to different contexts might shift, right? So like your heartbeat, your breath, when you go into a drum circle, all that changes. If you're playing other kinds of music, all that changes. If you're on a subway, it changes. So just, tuning to like, what is your response to your context? Like that's kind of the question of this dance work. Inviting movers and non-movers to reflect on these rhythms that are in them, like what their movement language is, and then how might it change in relationship to the context, like the physical constructed context or contemplative context. So I'm excited for you to move in my DANCITECTURE sometime.
Yeah. Yes, we'll see. I think Haile is in here now, but Haile will, I never got in the middle of that dance circle and dance. I did skate through once. But it's funny, I think it definitely is linked to like feelings of maybe shame I have around what I was taught to think about dance, thought to think about sharing that in a public setting. But I think it's also just becoming more familiar with my body. Demetrius is in here too. Like I've been watching a lot of skaters, and as you know, lately, and starting to see like how much those movements come from dance as well. People who are incredible skaters are probably incredible dancers. And I just was separating the two and realizing that actually, if I practice one, it might improve.
A lot of skating, right? Skating pattern.
Wow.
There's a rule in the skate that's like also you see on dance floors. So maybe skating is your way in. You just gotta like follow that.
Maybe it is. Wow. Thank you for that. Yeah, maybe it is. I just want to like be parkouring on skates throughout the city is really what I want. So maybe we do that together. Park on. but
Yeah.
I won't be coming in contact with too much when I'm on skates. Where one of my final questions is, how do you feel like stepping into motherhood has shifted the way that you contextualize space or move in space?
Oh, that's a deep question because the role is deep. The like the archetype of mother, as an expression of the goddess, of divine consciousness. We see, Mother Earth, in a variety of like spiritual practices, in myself. It's added another dimension, definitely. It's like a whole nother dimension to be asking myself questions around my identity, about the value of my work, about connecting to ancestry, and like making work, planting seeds now for the future, reflecting on like Mother Earth is like the source of everything, and
Mm-hmm.
she continues to give and like even against her own, like her benefit, like giving fossil fuels to us. She's still sourcing us, resourcing us. And I like to think that, all of this will come back to her. Like when we die, we return to her. And as I'm making my work and offering it into the world, or like giving my milk to my child and like offering my love to him, I'm trusting that it's going to come back to me. So another kind of currency. Yeah, making things in the world, and then and trusting that it's going to be of benefit, that will also benefit me.
It's like almost that idea of legacy as well, currency of legacy. Thank you so much for that. We have, if anyone does have any questions, we have a comment here from Demetrius that her work invokes in the idea of the Vitruvian man and the philosophy of architecture based around human proportions. Yeah, I definitely can. If we're thinking about geometry and sacred geometry, these are the shapes that we see recurring. And it's funny, for me, I am drawn, as you've seen in the artwork, I'm drawn to the shape of the spiral. But even within that, there's more geometric elements, but you have more angles, but even then you can still see that same flowing in and out movement. So if anyone has any questions, now is your time to drop them. And then Kimberly, if there's anything you would like to folks, and how they can follow your work.
Say that again. I'm sorry, my phone froze.
Okay. Any final words for those watching and how they can stay tuned to what you're up to?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram.
Yep.
I'm very much in gestation mode with my work and hoping to put more work out soon. So I invite you to ARCHiTATE or to DANCITECTURE. Reach out to me personally. I'm open to also hearing how any of what I share resonates with you, because I'm into building community that's in alignment with my work, and maybe we can be mutually beneficial and support each other with this building the village of creatives. So yeah.
And I want to just bring an end on this piece of yours. Tell us a bit about what you were processing as you were creating this?
Yeah, this was an artifact of a healing process that involved water, connecting to the Mother Earth, feeling myself as a mother, reintegrating kind of old spiritual practices that I had growing up into like reclaiming them and adapting them for me now. So as a Filipino, I grew up Roman Catholic. So there's like a mashup of, or like a layering um, of Mother Mary, but also there's an image of the goddess Dian Masalanta, who is a Filipino goddess of Dan. I'm
Mm.
still like building a relationship with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a piece that is really a prayer for healing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Those of you who are watching, definitely follow Kimberly at Archetate, and there's also one for DANCITECTURE, but you can follow on Archetate. And Kimberly is a part of the collective as well, so we're going to be continuing to share her work. Very excited of what is yet to come and this bond we have forged. I'm so grateful, so grateful.
Yeah,
and we will talk soon in the 11th hour or during the daytime.
to be continued for sure.
Yeah. All right. Much love. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye. Hi to Kimberly, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Kimberly Galaxxxy Tate, folks. So next, I'm going to just end the video here to save it and then come back in for a conversation with heART. heART, I see you. I appreciate you. You are the bomb. So I'll be back in 1 minute. See you soon.